Hey, Star Wars fans and Gruber Wired audience. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you.
Wow.
Star Wars.
Yeah, this is always a cool time to go to a baseball game, too, because they usually do Star Wars night, things like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And this all started, for me, it was fantasy in my childhood.
Yeah.
Star Wars was just so prevalent and just so out there.
Well, I remember, I think I was in 8th grade when Star Wars came out. And we did I was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Because in 8th grade, so our marching band, in Scottsdale, they have the Parada del Sol every year, and they have school bands march. So our grade school band marched every year in the Parada del Sol, and that year we did the Star Wars theme.
Was it the theme or the Imperial March? Because Imperial March gets used a lot in, sports settings.
No, it was da 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 da. Yeah.
Cool.
So, and it was... I played the trumpet, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And so our what do they call him? Our drum major.
Okay.
The guy who leads the
conductor,
right? Mm-hmm. Not the conductor, but the guy who's out in front, right? But anyway, he was marching down. He had a Darth Vader costume on.
How fun!
Yeah,
How
yeah.
fun.
We have pictures of that.
Wow. It's amazing. George Lucas had a vision, right?
He did.
And he took that to the next level. He really created a foundation of fantasy versus realism and kind of merged those two together.
Right. And, when you watch it, you never know, are we looking at the future? Or are we looking at the past?
Yeah.
You never know.
It's kind of out there, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away.
That's it. That's it. In Star Trek, you can tell where you are in the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Relative to today. But Star Wars, you don't know if we're watching history or watching the future.
It leaves up to your imagination.
Because they don't mention Earth at all, ever.
No.
Yeah. Unlike, Battlestar Galactica looking for... But what Star Wars gave rise to shows like Battlestar Galactica, because the tech that was developed out of that series... through Industrial Light and Magic, right? They figured out how to do all the cool things,
Yeah. But it's not just that they figured that out. They figured out how to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that they're doing, in regards to technology in Star Wars, it doesn't add up with the laws of physics, right?
Right.
But they made it so that it's believable.
Sure. Well, kind of like Star Trek and warp drive.
Yeah, but there's at least some theory behind the warp drive.
Well, there is, but then Einstein said you can never travel faster than the speed of light. Never, ever.
Not yet.
Ever.
We're getting there, though.
They say you can't.
Well, we're getting there.
Okay, so
matter of time.
Yeah. So at any rate, yeah. So one of the things that I thought we should talk about is the fact that I guess the phrase is that. Star Wars, what was it? Star Wars didn't predict the future. It gave people permission to build it. Right?
Yeah.
Which is
it showed us a path.
Right.
Right? And that was something that the creativity of George Lucas really brought to the Star Wars series.
Sure. And when you think about some really neat things, one of the things that always stood out to me was the hologram chess. Right?
Yeah.
That was always...
on the Falcon. That was pretty cool. Chewie, you get all mad.
Yeah. Don't make the Wookiee mad.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So, but and Princess Leia with the hologram, they're being built now.
They are. And in fact, there's a lot of artists out there using these holograms. One I can think of recently is Tupac has been shown at concerts and events on hologram as a holographic view. So we're seeing that come to real sense of life and vision at this point in time.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of neat to see some of the things that can be done with it. And, that's one of the future things that, people that built out that tech claimed their inspiration was from Star Wars to actually build the tech that is now being used for that.
Yeah.
which is pretty nifty.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But
That's
just the
cool.
tech alone, I mean, consider it with what we're doing in our industry and the communication side of things, right? Man, there's like zero latency. Everything's wireless. You really don't see the background infrastructure, throughout the different ships, Millennium Falcon, X-Wing Fighter, Death Star, but the communication is spot on.
Yeah. And I think, I remember back when there was little like hologram cards, and I thought those were so cool. And when the little hologram logo came out on your Visa card, and I'd be like, "Ooh, man,
that's cool.
that doesn't even move." And a lot of the data speed stuff that is now really taking shape to be able to deliver high speed to the home or to anywhere really is enabling a lot of this high data application type of stuff.
Yeah, and even the sense, like I said, the wireless transmissions that were used throughout the series, gave us a path to looking at using wireless, which we use every day, right? Once again, hold up your phone.
Right.
We use this device every day in our hands.
Right.
And, and this technology is portrayed throughout the Star Wars series.
And mine's even called a droid.
A droid.
An android,
Android, right?
There you go.
Didn't the term android was keyed during the Star Wars process?
I think so, or droids anyway. I'm not sure how it all worked out. I think the Android phone people couldn't use droid. They had to use Android because droid was trademarked or copyrighted by Lucas. So kind of cool. And then we've talked about AI robots before, and now you go into the Star Wars universe, and it started with R2D2 and C-3PO, and but it's expanded quite a bit.
Sure.
BB-8 is out there now. There's I think it's ID7. He's the one in The Mandalorian.
I haven't watched many of those.
Yeah. So, but
But look at the presence of robotics and what it did throughout the series and where we're at now.
Right.
One picture is, for me, if you've ever watched, if you've seen Star Wars, we're talking about, right, is on the Death Star, those little robots on wheels that were running around throughout the Death Star, right?
Yeah.
Well, I relate to that to now where the other day I've seen one of those little like square robots going down the sidewalk to deliver food to somebody.
Right.
So we're there.
Right.
So there was the vision, and then now, look, we're here with it.
And, kids get to go robot tipping now instead of cow tipping.
Right? Tip some robots. But what gets to me, and I think we'll eventually get there too, is we're just in the first stages of really seeing the humanoid robots come into play, right?
Right.
Elon Musk is working on them. Blue Origin, some other companies out there are working on these. It's a matter of how relatable they become, because the droids pictured in Star Wars had personality. They had a persona to them.
Right. But and they still look like machines, though.
They do.
And I think what's being developed now is kind of more akin to iRobot, because it's more, they tried to make those more humanoid looking. I think I don't think it matters either way. People are going to know, robot. Yeah. It's a robot, right?
A robot's a robot, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just curious if we'll be able to see that persona come out in the future, just so it makes these machines more relatable to us on a different scale.
Right. Well, and you look at different things. I remember going to Disneyland when they came out with the Star Wars experience over there.
Yeah.
Right. And when you're waiting in line to go on Star Tours.
Yep, I did that one.
Yeah. And so it's the robot assembly factory, right?
Yeah.
And you got parts going around. Long before Amazon did it, which they have, robotic facilities, basically. A lot of that stuff is automated.
Oh, it's all automated now. Yeah.
And so it's interesting when you see stuff that in the movies at the time seemed pretty wild.
It seemed unattainable.
And now it's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're living in that world.
Right.
NASA engineers have used R2D2 as a cultural reference point when discussing robotic assistance.
Okay.
And yeah.
It finds its way into the lexicon. Heads-up displays. They I know that pilots use them a lot now.
A lot, yeah.
Used to be just the instrument panels in front, but now they have these displays that show up on they're called heads-up displays because they keep their head up. They can see all their instrumentation or the important.
And there are some vehicle manufacturers that are using this, especially for night driving and night vision that are already implemented into the windows. So that's pretty cool stuff.
It is very cool.
Yeah. What kind of threw you off there? I'm sorry, buddy.
Wearables are important,
Wearables. What do you mean by wearables?
Well, like the Buck Rogers watch,
Oh, okay. Watch technology as far as that goes.
Being able to, now it's easily done, having a watch that's a phone that you can make phone calls on. Samsung does those in their Galaxy watches. I don't know. Can you make a call on an Apple Watch?
I don't know. I've never had an Apple Watch. You can?
You can?
Okay.
And, doing your blood oxygen, your heart rate,
all
your steps, all the bio stuff. So, very cool.
Yeah, good stuff. One thing that really kind of gets to me that kind of brought some light to me when looking at this was talking about the droids, R2D2, C3PO, and so forth. It reminds me that they're kind of just on the very extreme edge of edge computing. Right?
Yeah, you got to think that it's massive data use, right? To get all that stuff working and wireless communication, they're dealing with all of the things that working through networking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but every time you turn on your watch, the droids are just such a piece of the Star Wars history, right? And storytelling. And to see that take place, and then all of a sudden the vision comes into us here where we're at in history, man, we're seeing a lot of this technology out there. We now have robots that can come out, and they're setting them up for home use,
right?
To at least make some coffee in the morning, maybe do some simple tasks like laundry, but you have to program it, of course. We're not there where they can take off and do it on their own.
Right.
And they're still monitored even from behind the scenes.
I'm just waiting for a real lightsaber.
Somebody made one.
Well, they made
a plasma lightsaber.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just for fun. It was kind of cool. I think we watched a video of it once.
Yeah. They look a lot like them, yeah.
Yeah. And well, just think, we went from there. We now have the technology of using lasers. We're using those currently all around, especially with deterrence factors, with, aerial subjects,
Yeah, laser weapons.
Yep.
Got the space beam, focused energy, directed energy weapons. Jews. Yes.
What about just spacecraft in general? There's a lot that takes place with the spacecraft, the X-Wing fighter, the Millennium Falcon and so forth, that translate over to what NASA's doing.
Right.
Whether it's the hull, the cabin. You're seeing some of the similarities there that were taken from, fantasy, again, put into realism.
Right. Yeah. I've been watching... caught up, but there's new episodes every week, but called For All Mankind, and it's on Apple TV. Really good.
Is it?
The premise of it is that the Russians beat us to the moon, and how the timeline
Okay, you were telling me about this the other day.
It's really good. So I caught up. I watched the first 4 seasons already again. I rewatched them, and then the 5th season is out now, and they come out every Friday, so I really enjoy it. I did the whole from the Earth to the Moon thing. Then I did the Apollo 13. Then I watched Apollo 11 thing, and then I went on to this. Because it with the Artemis mission and all that kind of stuff, it's kind of rekindled a little bit in me of the whole space.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed on the Death Star from the original Star Wars: A New Hope, right?
Right.
The trash compaction scene.
Right.
We saw that. Then all of a sudden, I remember growing up, trash compactors in your kitchen were a big thing.
Right.
Right. So it was just like on a smaller scale at home.
Yeah.
It was like, I saw this on Star Wars. Now we can do it in our own home.
Yeah, I think that was a reverse idea. I think that was the trash compactors have been around for a while, but yeah.
But yeah, that was just interesting to me.
Nothing living in the trash compactor, though, like that one.
Yeah. What about the Force? We haven't talked about the Force yet itself. That's that invisible communication device that's floating around all of us that they brought to life in these movies, correct?
Oh, yeah, it's a real Eastern philosophy kind of thing going on there, yeah.
Yeah. But we're working on that, right? We're working on using these particles. Well, I'm saying they're working on finding these particles out there, so at a microscopic level.
Midichlorians.
Right? Don't think those are real, but hey.
Well, I did read something just this last week that said that electrons basically they calculated how long an electron can live or exist, which they also said there was a big bang. So I really don't think that they calculated it, but it's like 100 billion, 100 trillion times longer than the universe is old now.
Interesting.
Like in other words, electrons never
die,
cease to exist, right? And which I found fascinating. That was a really neat thing, and it's totally believable. And I think that when we talked about quantum computing earlier and how they don't quite know how it works. They just know that it works.
But yeah.
That, they think it could be operating interdimensionally, right? And could be taking advantage or leveraging the fact that time doesn't exist in certain realms.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it goes so quick. They just don't know how it works.
Yeah, and eventually they'll understand how that works and the relativity of relativity of it all. And I also read the other day that now they don't think that dark matter is even a consistent. It has some play and movement to it as well. So when we think about the Force, we think about using these this that's out there, that's portrayed in the movies. But we are going to find use for these forces that are out there.
Yeah. I mean, the more we learn, the more we realize we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what
questions, answers beget more questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
What gets to me is just all of this put together. And even today, our minds are still filled with this fantasy, right? That's never going to go away. That's the one constant that we're always going to have: storytelling, fantasy, reaching out there. And Star Wars is a great dedicated way that just brings people together. The one thing that I really enjoy about watching Star Wars and the movies and what's taken place is the fact that everyone, no matter who you are, can relate to it. You can relate to a character. You can relate to the robotics that's going on. You can relate to all of this technology.
Right. And don't get any of that woke crap in there.
There we go with the woke.
It's not humans. It's just, I mean, it is, but you know what I mean? It's not like today's construction type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed our May the 4th be with you episode. We'll see you soon.